Hi, it's Rebecca Ryan King here, and I have this problem with games. And what that is I love playing games, but I started to realize that it would take me like 3 minutes to set up a game. This is an example of a game that I absolutely love. And I started to get a little bit guilty that I was wasting time setting up games for the child to play when it only takes 2 minutes to play. And I could have been using that time to practice my speech sounds and get a high practice session. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I take a game like this. This one's called Helter Skelter, but it's also known as other names like Kerplunk. And I want to show you how you can use your setup time to get your high practice in different stages. Now, I'm going to set it up because as I'm setting up the game, I'm usually talking to my kids and I'm letting them know that we're going to be playing this game and there are sticks and then there are marbles. And as I'm setting it up, you can see how much time it actually takes. So you can imagine how, I guess, ineffective it can be when you are really trying to get a high practice session and, you want to play something fun, but you don't want to take away from our goal, which is practicing our speech sounds. So this is how I start off. I start off the game like this, and I know I've still got my sticks to put in, and I know I've still got my marbles to put in. But what I do is I use this setup now as part of my speech practice. So I think there are about 20 sticks here. I know that I can get 20 practice trials just by putting the sticks in. And I might have a target word. Let's say we're working on CH. It might be like, I'll go through my words, chip, and the child starts threading them through, choose, and they start threading them through. Now, I like this because as I'm putting these through, and you're going to see how much time it takes, the child is doing something. They enjoy choosing what colour stick, they enjoy putting them through, and it's keeping their brain active, it's keeping them engaged in the task because it is kind of fun putting sticks through. And we talk about finding gaps and making sure we fill up all the gaps. So whatever I'm doing, if it's minimal pairs, we might say our minimal pair words and the child gets a stick. If it's the cycles approach, we'll go through our words. So whatever our speech sound therapy is, I will find a way. Another thing I like to do is do target words. So this is a great game that I use when a child has S targets because they can choose what colour stick, and they can even just say stick and they can put it through. So if I can, I might find a word that is meaningful. It might be choose if we're working on CH, and they can choose what colour stick. So when we're going through, we're filling all these up, and you can see I'm nearly done, and we are on about 3 minutes now. So you can see just how long this is taking me to set up. And I know that I'm multitasking, but it's to make a point that if you choose a game that has a lot of setup in it, you can be, like I say, like wasting a little bit of time not getting your speech practice in. So we can still have fun. And like I said, the child is engaged because they know we're about to play. But here's the thing. The next thing we do is I think of another target word and we put one marble in each time. A fun thing I like to do is to roll the marbles across the table. So I'll roll them across, the child says their target word, they pick up the marble and they just put them in. So again, I think there's approximately 20 marbles here, so I'm getting 20 practices in. And think about that. For every marble, there's a hole, for every stick that the child is putting in, they are getting speech practice versus just watching me set up the game. So it really is in my head. It's like we can still have fun. We are going to work hard, but it's time efficient, right? And again, they are hooked because they can see they're building this. If we find a gap, we've got to put a stick in a different spot. There we go. I haven't multitasked this well because I'm trying to explain this. So I'm just going to leave all those marbles just like that because otherwise there's going to be lots of holes, okay? So think about it. We've put the sticks in, we've got practice. We've put the marbles in, we've got practice. Now we can play the game. And I've played this today and it only took me 2 minutes to pull out the sticks to play the game. So it just shows you if you're using your setup with speech practice, you can really get as much as you can out of this game. If you spent the time building the game with no practice just to pull out a stick and get practicing, it's just not a good use of time, especially if you've got something like a 30-minute session. So now, child's really excited, we're ready to play the game, and again, whatever my target word is, whatever my therapy approach is, it might be a meaningful phrase or a sentence, now we can play the game, which is what the child's really excited about, and we take turns and we say the word, and then we pull out the stick and the marble comes down. So next time you have any of your games that have lots of pieces that require setup, I really want you to keep this concept in your head of how can I stage setup to get practice? Because for many kids, that is still exciting and engaging. They know the game is coming, they're motivated, they're getting ready, they're excited, but we're just prioritizing speech practice versus the game and having fun, because that to me is my goal when I'm working with kids with speech sound disorders. I want them to be successful and to be able to communicate clearly with their sounds. It doesn't mean that we can't have fun, but we are going to do some work first. So I hope you like this. Make sure you go and you look at all of our other videos and our playlists on how to get high practice trials using everyday activities that speech pathologists have. Because once you have this concept in your head, you can still have your fun, but you can see how you can maybe just plan 1 or 2 activities in your therapy session versus 4 or 5 because you've used the setup to get high practice in. If you found this useful, make sure that you subscribe, and you can always comment if you want us to feature another game. We've got so many games in our cupboard, and I can show you how I might tweak it or tailor it to get high practice in.